ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah. M. Night Shyamalan ding dong. Knock, knock, mother.
This is how you answer a door in my neighborhood.
It's M. Night Shyamalan, and he's back with his latest Knock at the Cabin. And given that M. Night has been kind of hit or miss with a lot of audiences these days, is this a movie worth watching? Well, let's talk about that.
Always together.
Always together. The Knock at the Cabin, you find yourself watching a same-sex marriage couple with their adopted daughter vacationing in the woods, being visited by 4 unusual guests. The 4 unwanted guests are preaching about doomsday and the apocalypse and how they need help in making sure that doesn't happen. However, the catch here is that one of the family members have to basically make a sacrifice and choose someone within the family to kill in order to stop this impending doom. Now, with understanding all that, it of course leads to a pretty interesting premise and something that sounds like M. Night Shyamalan will do justice with. Of course, everyone's wondering what's the twist gonna be, you know, where's the big reveal and all that. And yes, this movie does have a twist, but it is really not your typical M. Night Shyamalan twist. For the most part, I found this movie to be pretty straightforward. Yes, you get a little surprised here and there about certain things that are revealed, and when things all come together at the end, then you're like, aha, well, that all kind of makes sense now. But it wasn't anything like, oh my God, you know, don't expect a Bruce Willis type of twist here from The Sixth Sense. Something like in The Village where you just find out, well, they're living off a national park and it's not really these kind of weird times and all that stuff like that. As a matter of fact, I feel like this movie for me reminds me a lot of Signs. I'm a huge fan of Signs, and I think that's one of M. Night's, in my opinion, one of his best movies. I feel like they do kind of share certain tones and certain types of messages, kind of like that overall sensation of hope. And I don't want to spoil anything here. There's no spoilers in this review, but if you understand what I mean when I talk about Signs, then you can kind of understand what you might be getting yourself into when you see Knock at the Cabin. Now, compared to Old, which was the last movie we got from him, which I personally didn't really like that much, I do feel like this is a better movie than that. I found it to be quite entertaining all throughout, and it really was filled with a lot of suspense. So I felt very anxious the whole time, especially once things started to kick into full gear. I felt myself really at the edge of my seat, wondering what's gonna happen, what is to be expected, you know, what kind of decisions or surprises are we gonna get? And when things are all said and done, I was left pretty satisfied with the ending. However, I do have to say this: if you are very familiar with the source material that this is based off of, the movie is based off of a 2018 novel called The Cabin at the End of the World, written by Paul G. Tremblay. Now, I never read the book, but after I watched the movie, I was very curious, so I did some of what you would remember as cliff notes from school. And I come to find out that they changed a lot in this movie. Definitely a different ending and definitely a different series of events at a certain point. So if you're familiar with that book, get ready, and you are in store for something that's a little bit different and that veers a little bit away from that. Personally, I think it would be more interesting to have seen a direct adaptation of the book because of the series of events and the more interesting ending, in my opinion. Here, this ending is very clear cut, and then you really truly understand what's happening. But I still think that Knock at the Cabin is something that's worth watching, especially if you are a fan of suspense thriller and if you're just a fan of M. Night overall. Let's talk about M. Night's directing. Now, of course, M. Night has his ways and his own techniques, and you definitely see a lot of that here. Great framing of his shots, nice transitions, nice pans, and all that. So very typical M. Night Shyamalan fare. He does something really interesting with the sound this time around, and I think that does play really heavily along with the events unfolding in the movie. Another thing that I really appreciated that he did here is that when something major happens, it tends to happen off screen. So it does kind of lead to that more suspense feeling of oh my God, what just happened? So I liked how he has those little touches all throughout. Now for the performances, Bautista is definitely the breakout star in this. You can kind of understand now why he wants to get more away from the whole Drax persona in being like this comic relief and all that. He did good in Glass Onion, which was the last thing that we saw Dave Bautista in, but I kind of like compare this performance to what we saw in his role in Blade Runner 2049. So I'm definitely interested to see like what more he has in store for us, especially the more he gets into like this more dramatic acting. Of course, I'm sure everyone's wondering, well, how is Ron Weasley? Well, Rupert Grint was actually pretty interesting. He has this like really interesting take on a Southern accent all throughout, but you could kind of hear it like come in and out between that and his British accent. I believe he's British, right? Well, you know, his accent. Jonathan Groff was great, who played Eric. Ben Aldridge, who played Andrew, was fantastic. The little girl, Kristen, who played Wen, is very cute and adorable, even though I do feel like she overacts sometimes, but still, little kid, very cute. So overall, the performance is actually really well done. As for my rating, I rated this on Letterboxd 4 stars, and I definitely liked it. And I think that this is a movie that I wouldn't mind watching again, especially to see if I could like pick up on some other things. However, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter at all what I think. What matters most is what all of you think. Is Knock at the Cabin something that you are interested in watching, or have you seen it already? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this and you want to see more of this type of content, don't forget, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time a new video is uploaded. Thank you so much for watching. Stay cool, stay classy, stay safe, and stay sane. And I will catch you all in the next one. Peace out, y'all.